everyone. Welcome to another episode of Creative Writers and Illustrators. And my guests for the day are authors Ira Saxena and Katie Bagli. They're out with books for kids aged 8 to 12. Let's find out more. Welcome. Ira ma'am, would you like to go first?
Okay. Hi, everyone. And lovely seeing you, Shamla, after a long, long time. Lovely looking at my dear friend Katie and all of us, fellow authors. So, you want me to talk about my latest book? The latest book I can show you. It's right here, The Last Call. And I want to show you the full cover, the back and the front, because it makes a lot of sense. So this is the back cover and the front cover. It's a collection of stories. And these stories have been, unlike I write novels, I write stories. But I tell you, writing stories and novels, it's a world of difference, because novels you can write at one go. But stories are like 100 novels, and you can't just start writing one and then the next one. So they take a long time. It's a lifetime work. And I've been keeping my favorite stories aside all the time in one separate file. So I put them all together, and the publisher, Niyogi Books, they were very kind. They accepted. They took some of my stories, and they're right here in this book. These stories are not for the very small children, but they are for, I would say, 11 upwards. And different scenarios, different. Shall I tell something about the titles of the story or later?
We can discuss later.
Wonderful. So these are just stories, some adventure and something about even the pain and pleasures of daily life. So now I hand over to Katie. I would love to listen about your book. So Shamla, you can ask Katie formally.
Yes, Katie, please introduce your book.
Thank you, Shamla. And very good evening, everybody. Lovely to be here on this platform. Thank you, Shamla, for inviting me, first of all. And I'm so happy to be with you, Ira, for the first time on this online platform. Hopefully, next time it will be physical meeting.
Likewise.
So as I've been told to talk about this latest book, which I have actually co-authored with my friend Vijaya Chakravarti. It's called Shodoshak, Gods, Greens, and Ghostly Tales. So this book is also a collection of stories, but the stories are related to the 14 leafy vegetables which the Bengalis cook into a meal. It's a tradition, it's a custom on Bhoot Chaturdashi or Naraka Chaturdashi, as they call it, one of the 5 days of Diwali.
Yeah.
And, Bengalis also believe a lot in ghosts. So we have a lot of ghosts coming in and walking out of the stories. There are different ghosts, and they're all friendly ghosts. So they reside in the different trees of grandma's garden. The loving grandma is Dida, and she's always relating some story about the greens to her very curious 3 grandchildren. But the aim of this book is to, first of all, revive the traditions, make people realize our values, our culture, and also it is to bring back to our dinner plates biodiversity. Because as you may be knowing, through the recent years, there is so much monoculture. We hardly use 10% of all the biodiverse, grains and greens that can grow in our country. So for using 14 different leaves to make one meal shows the biodiversity you can have in your plate. It is nutritious, and a biodiversity in your plate means there's a demand for biodiversity from the land. So naturally, there's a demand. So farmers will grow biodiverse crops, and that is healthy for the soil. So in fact, it sort of helps in reviving ecosystems too, and helps in mitigating climate change. So that's about the book. And of course, it's being published by Inking Innovations. He is a favorite publisher of mine. And these beautiful illustrations have been done by my friend Sushmita Karmakar. So I think you should try and get the book and read it.
Yeah,
Story.
sure.
So, Katie, what came first, the title, or were you intrigued by the stories, or did you just want to explore the topic of diversity of plant growth through healthy diets?
Right. So, in fact, we want to combine all these aspects. And that is why Choto Shop, first of all, will, sort of stir up the curiosity of a person who looks at the book. And then we talk about God's greens and ghostly tales. So, it's about something interesting. Children love ghosts. There are all kinds of different ghosts, as imagined by Sushmita. Yes, and of course, also this book has quite a few recipes at the end of the stories. Recipes dealing with each of the 14 leaves. And there are illustrations of the actual specimens of the 14 leafy vegetables which are used in this book as for stories.
Meera ma'am, can you tell us something about the title of your book?
The Last Call. It's an adventure story. Last Call is the last story in this. It's the entire title is Last Stories and Other Stories. The Last Call and the Other Stories. So this is an adventure, and the cover illustration is from the background of that adventure. It's in the jungles. So it's the usual, the place is a sanctuary where there is, you go on the elephants in search of having a vision of our favorite tiger. And round after round, tourists go and they do. So here there are a set of characters. The most important one is the Mahout, the elephant who controls the elephant. And he takes tourists along, and he's the most popular Mahout in that sanctuary, because they say it's a common belief among the tourists that whoever goes with this Mahout, whose name is Nandu, whoever goes with Nandu definitely has a glimpse of the tiger. So that is a very major attraction. So the story moves on. I won't go into many details of the story because the adventure keeps building up. There are a couple of boys who go to have a look at the tiger, but they have very different ideas about what they want to do. They are actually poachers. So, and Nandu has no idea about these poachers. So he takes them along, and they are the same age. So they have good fun and laugh. But things change suddenly, and a lot of drama takes place. I won't say anything further than that. I won't reveal the ending because it spoils all the fun for the readers. So this is the first story. Then there is another story which is called Breaking the Ice. It is about two young boys who want to do mountaineering, and it is set in the Kanchenjunga range. And again, there has to be adventure, there has to be a lot of racy action which goes on. And so here in the story, most prominently what comes out is differences and jealousy, and also how to run down the other. So all these things, the emotional angle becomes very important in these stories, and it ends in a, of course, in a nice way, and they are very friendly. The third story is The Artist. It is entirely a different location, set in Calcutta. And the main characters are, one is an old man and a very young boy. And they both indulge in making the statues. The old man, he is much sought after because he's a very well-known and very accomplished statue maker. So he gets orders, and that's his source of living. And the young boy, he keeps helping at the same time learning, but he's really an artist himself. So there are some complications that occur. The old man becomes very ill. The young boy, he uses his art and his expertise to help his father. He's not actually his father, but he calls him his father, and just to help him and save all the hard work that he's done, and earn the money.
We'll just discuss about that story a bit later. I just want to pass this
okay.
to Katie.
Yeah.
Katie, there are a lot of ghosts which appear in your book, and they are like, there's a banana ghost, there's a Mecho booth, Sneha booth, Sona booth. I mean, what was your process of just discovering all these ghosts? Because, time and again in the book, you kind of put the emphasis that they are all friendly ghosts, because I think ghosts are used as an element to scare children, and you have taken the effort to take that fear out of children, and you learn to love these ghosts. So tell me, what was your process of just finding these ghosts?
So, I mean, it's a lot of creativity and imagination, if you see, even in the way the ghosts are described. Some have nail polish on them, some have a lot of lipstick, and some of them have pointy nails, and some have large eyes. And I think Sushmita has done a lot of justice, but I must mention over here that I just forgot to mention earlier, the plant specimens have been illustrated realistically by my friend Medha Rajadaksha. So anyway, coming back to the ghost, children like to, of course, like anything that has a lot of imagination and which is superhuman, you can say. And yes, the ghosts are friendly, but they all have their temperaments. They have their traits and characteristics. As you saw in one of the ghosts, wears a shirt which is worn by Shah Rukh Khan in one of his movies. Yes, and just to make it interesting,
very interesting.
Yeah, there's a limbo petni ghost who is fond of limbos. Yes. And she's very possessive about the limbos, will only allow grandma to pluck those limbos from the tree, not any of the children. And of course, the bamboo ghost. There is a male bamboo ghost and a female bamboo ghost. So I think this could help children to use their own creativity, also imagine, other kinds of superhuman beings, I suppose. And it's all merged into the story. So trying to put the importance again of biodiversity in our nutrition in a very subtle manner, in a very child-friendly manner, hopefully in a child-friendly manner, So that was the reason for the different ghosts. Yeah.
Was it easy to do research on the ghosts? Because these are part of folklore, right? Finding recipes for the different leaves is easy, but what about the ghosts?
Yeah, so So it's all to do with imagination, just creating your own ghost. In fact, this book is going to be launched now on the 21st, which is this coming Saturday, at IBSA, Indian Women Scientists Association.
Wow.
There we are going to have a session by Sushmita where the audience will be asked to mention any characteristic, and she will sort of, make up her own ghost on the spot and draw it. So that's how, we also come to the decision of what the ghost is like. It gives us a lot of leeway because a ghost can be anything, it can have long fingers or it can have a pointy nose or whatever. So you can introduce all that, So the characters become lively.
Yeah.
Ira ma'am, one of the stories, the artist which we were discussing earlier, I
Yeah.
thought that was the most touching story in the book. It
Yes.
evokes
Yeah.
a whole lot of emotions, and it's not an easy story to stumble upon. So I want to ask, what made you write the story? And it's not you can't find a puja pandal just whenever. It does not just manifest itself, and it's very difficult to find these artists who create these statues. So
Yeah.
did you find an artist? Was that like where you just walking around and just and the story kind of popped up?
Shamla, it's very interesting that the scenario that I've picked up, or when I started writing the story, the background, that it was already set in my mind, not by visualizing. Actually, I have seen many artists making statues, and poor artists who sit by the roadside and do that work. But I think the background was developed by the uh, reading that I have done about either in stories, Rabindranath Tagore, or I have a very concrete image of the Calcutta dwellings from news, wherever I built up that imagination. So it was there in my mind. For that, I didn't have to struggle at all. And how the story came to my mind, I don't know myself. With my psychology background, I've been asked many times about your creativity. Say something. Where do you get the ideas from? I said, I don't know. Sometimes they drop in my lap, and sometimes I run after them. So I can't say how the idea came. But once I started, the character was very clear in my mind. I started writing, and the other character, the old man, he came later. First came the child. And while writing, I start the character building. The reason that this story touches, because it comes very close to life, real life. And maybe perhaps the reactions of the characters, they are very natural, and they tend to bring out the emotional content in the story.
Katie, is this your
There
first?
is
You want to add something?
no. Yeah, please. Kitty, you are asking something?
No, I was asking Katie something.
Oh.
Katie, this is your first book with a co-author?
No, it's not my first book. In fact, this book has followed in the footsteps of another book which I had also co-authored with Vijaya, and that was called God's Greens and Gripping Tales, and that had to do with Ganesha, the 21 leaves which are offered to Ganesh on Ganesh Chaturthi. So, yeah.
How was that experience of writing this book with another author? Because you come with a set of ideas, and be it exploration of
right. But we sort of gelled together. I mean, Vijaya also has a lot of ideas, and she's very into the culture and traditions of India. She does research on that also. I was more into the aspects of creating the story about the children and the grandma, and all the nuances involved. How some children are jealous of the ghost and such things. So yeah.
It sounds very interesting, Katie. I must pick up this book and read it fast because there's so many interesting things that you're talking about, put all of them in the book. So I'll have to be very choosy, picking up one and then the next and saving them in my mind.
Thank you.
But it's a lovely idea, I must say, no doubt.
Yeah.
Ira ma'am, you have worked with Neelima ma'am on your
Yeah.
previous book. So how
Yeah.
was that experience of having a co-author?
Oh, wonderful. I think, first of all, as Katie just now said, that you tend to gel with your ideas, your thinking, your stream of thoughts. They gel with the next other author. So we were already gelled, Neelima, myself. So we were always thinking on that line, and we knew exactly what we have to focus upon, what would be the emotional content, which was very important. We both felt very emotional writing that book together. And so that part, we had no problems. Only we consulted each other about different facts and figures and rechecking, doing our research work. Plus, it was big fun because we used to laugh a lot. We used to really enjoy our writing. So there was no stress in writing. So once I've read, I know Neelima will listen to it and she will point out what is lacking in this. Same thing. Likewise, Neelima would write something, then she would come and consult. So it was a very happy experience. Mostly we were talking to each other and reading each other's work. And we never felt that this is Neelima's writing, this is my writing.
Yes.
So we wanted to
Yeah.
bring a very smooth finish to the entire book. And this book I'm talking about is called India's Freedom Story, which has been published by HarperCollins about a year back.
Yeah.
Katie, would you like to add something about your working with Vijaya?
This is exactly how I felt, just like Ira. I mean, we can't make out finally when you read the whole thing through whether this was my part of it or whether it was Vijaya's part of it. There's no division of work.
Yeah.
We merge into each other's writing. I may correct something, change something, and then she accepts it and she makes another change. So, and it's a very lovely kind of a relationship, it's a bonding in words and in the pen, you can see. And I also enjoyed, I've co-authored with Meda also earlier, writing some poetry books. And this is what used to happen, finally we would wonder whether this poem is written by her or by me.
Yeah.
So, it's a common passion of writing that brings people together. I think at the end of the day, irrespective of how the book does, what you celebrate is the time you spend together.
Exactly.
And you just enjoy.
Right. Yeah. Even for the illustrations, I felt, of course, Meda did the plant specimens, but Sushmita using her imagination, and I would sort of give suggestions to her. But then she would come out and she would read the story in depth, understand it, get it into her blood, and then do the illustration. So I think they've come out pretty well and very acceptable with the story.
Regarding, I would like to put in a word about writing together. Neelima and I, we have been doing many books together. I think the basic reason of gelling, we were gelled already because we had certain ideas about children's books in India, about the sort of children's books which are required for our readers. And we discussed those, and so we both were thinking we were on the same page right from the very beginning with the ideas of children's books which should be there for the Indian readers. So we grew up with that,
Right.
and we expanded our horizon. So that was one very important thing, that we could think alike. And this has been because of our Association of Writers and Illustrators for Children. That is, this organization brought us together, and we grew up with the organization and our own thinking as well. That cultivated.
Right. It's a different experience altogether.
It was
A
indeed.
happy experience. Right.
Was.
Now,
Yeah.
both of you have
Shamla,
been,
I would like to. Oh, sorry, you were saying something. There's one story in the last call. I'll
yeah,
just put in 2 lines about
yes,
that.
please, yes.
It is called The Lyrical Ballad, the
It's
Lyrical
story.
Battle. This is a story of a boy of 11th class, and he suddenly falls ill, and it turns out he's a terminal patient, and he suffers pain attacks of. So he's in the hospital, but his friends come and cheer him up, and they say, we can't have that play without you, and you have to finish the main part that you were writing. It was the poem which was the main ending. So he said, I'll do that, lying here in the hospital. And that time the attack comes, but his mind is on the poem, and he's creating at that time and overcomes the pain. Actually, this was motivated, this story idea came to me for writing a book, a collection of stories which have therapeutic content. So these are many well-known writers have contributed to this book. It's called Lighthouse in the Storm. And this was written a commemorative book for the International Conference on Book Therapy. Book therapy was something which I felt very strongly about, and I took many workshops in the association, and felt very strongly about this subject because I know literature is so powerful that literature heals first before the medicine comes and takes a chance. So same thing, with that idea in mind, I started writing this story, and this was very appreciated by the publisher. Even other stories in Lighthouse are very nice. So this story has a special meaning for me, and I'm very happy that it has been accepted very nicely by others. Yes, Shamla, you were saying something.
Yeah, so both of you have been writing now for decades. I want to know what motivates and inspires you to keep creating more books, and you, with every book, you are pushing the boundaries and always looking for something new.
Oh, Shamla, you're so kind, and so your words are so inspiring, really.
I think it's
I
similar
might,
with you also, Shamla. You also writer.
yeah.
You also breaking boundaries and pushing your way through for different genres. Yes, definitely.
So let's answer the question. Because I find some authors, the reason I ask you this question is some of them slow down, and some of them have totally stopped writing, saying that we are not able to adapt to the new audiences. there was a time where writing folk tales and writing mythology and fantasy, that was acceptable, but
Yeah.
today's generation needs something. So, keeping what you have learned and gleaming your experiences and adding your life experiences of the day to create something
Yeah.
for the ever changing reader. That is a big challenge.
Right.
That's true. Yes.
Okay. So, first of all, as you know, Shamala, I write a lot about nature because that is absolutely my passion. And in the last 2 years, I've been getting assignments from various corners, you can say. Many of the NGOs are telling me to write, like, for example, the Corbett Foundation.
Yes.
I've almost completed it, Tales from Kanha. So it is about how the tribals of Kanha are living in harmony, in sync with the wildlife, the forest. And then another one by the Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change about the man-crocodile conflict in Bhitarkanika. So all these kind of stories are just, my forte, you can say. This is something I absolutely adore writing. So I'm continuing to write on these. Then there was recently a contest held by Pench Forest for writers. They invited writers to write stories about the forest guards. And we had to actually go to the forest and interview the forest guards. So that was an amazing experience. I interviewed one of the forest guards, and you get to know in depth about how they live. They are the soldiers of the jungle. It was really very interesting. So, I mean, these kind of things are very fulfilling to write about. And if it keeps falling on your lap, why not accept it?
That's true. There was a time long back, I was really enamored by the growth of technology at that time. I was not from the field of science or technology myself, but it permeated in the family environment. My husband was an expert in IT, and I was listening to different terminology connected with computers, and so I developed a couple of stories on computer crime. But the background was that it cannot beat human intelligence. Human intelligence is supreme. So those days I wrote about 2 novels, very kindly published by Children's Book Trust, and they were very well taken by the readers. But I realized that it is actually the surroundings and the social situation around you which tend to affect your ideas and your creativity. Because I knew for sure that technology is running at such a pace that I cannot keep up my pace with it. So I stopped.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't really start from ABC in technology and continue with what is happening. So I stopped there, and something else took over, non-violence particularly. So I think it is the social fabric as well as the things that are going along very strongly in those, which is they keep influencing your thoughts, they keep influencing your life, and that sort of carves a way for further writing. So I have felt like that I never regretted stopping computer crime writing, because I'm sure there can be many more stories built on those lines, but it is I think what I took over after that was more meaningful to me, and maybe something else might come up. Shamla might write something fantastic. You, Katie, like I've been reading your folk tales, Katie, and they're so delightful. And there's so much around you that you never know what falls in your lap and when it does.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Shamla, you agree with us authors. Katie is nodding her head, so she agrees.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, and we shall end the session.
Okay.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you so
Okay.
much for this. I really
Thank
enjoyed myself. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.